In my working life, opportunities are everywhere. And I work on the premise that if you look, you find. Most people go through their life, they're not even looking. They can't even see the opportunities in front of them. I don't work like that. I've worked on, if you go look, you'll find. What I set out to achieve was to be a good accountant and to make an impact in the people you work for and with. In my professional working life, I worked with my clients as they were my partners. So I understood their business, I understood the drivers that made their business, I understand the strategy of what they're going, what we needed to execute and what we needed to get an outcome.
A lot of accountants probably look back at the number crunches.
Yep.
Gary is much more about looking forward, what the business should do in the future, and he was more a consultant and advisor as to where business should go.
You'd be hard-pressed to drive around the Albury region without coming across a business or a property that Gary hasn't been involved with. Always on the lookout for opportunities for his clients, Gary was instrumental in 33 syndicated property developments.
So what we did is we went and then found suitable commercial properties and put these clients together into groups to buy those properties. And if you see locally, we did, in total, we did 33 syndicated properties. And if you give you a sense of the ones that are local, the first choice at the top end of Dean Street, always slammed for its unattractiveness of the building, but it was one of our syndicates. Over the road where you've got office work just around the corner in Small Street, it was one of our syndicates. The old Bunnings that in Young Street, that was one of our syndicates, and then that got sold into what was Harris Farms and Amart. So opportunity, clients have got money. Opportunity, they're looking for investments. Opportunity, you come across with your contacts and relationships, people who know and can help you find the right sources of either tenants and or sites. You look, you find.
Of course, opportunities aren't just for clients. When a local bottled water company started to struggle, Gary asked a group of partners to join him in taking it over.
Well, with our journey with Mountain H2O, it changed an industry. And that's an Australian-wide industry. You don't get too often an opportunity to do something that is an impact across a whole industry. The interest for us was that bottled water was taking off, and so we got in from the start hoping that we might capitalise on it. And so your production capacity went from 2,600 bottles an hour on the old line to nearly 40,000 an hour on the new line. The technology was already in Europe, but we were the first one to introduce it into Australia. And we went from a truckload of bottles to the cartons of 40,000 test tube in a carton where we blow mould and filled those in a production line. And because you had a much greater volume of throughput, you there had a great efficiency and cost savings that we then shared back with our retail partners.
So we're getting the picture of a man who makes things happen, does deals, negotiates outcomes for his clients. So it begs the question, what's he really like to work with?
Staff who work for me, I think they would say he's tough. So dealing with partners, I've been very lucky, I've had great partners. And I think at times those robust discussions would have been all held in the right spirit and in the right sort of collaborative, proprietorial approach that we would have dealt with each other. But at times I think they would think I was tough as well. In dealing with third parties, I think you're always trying to be as fair as you possibly can. So you've got to try to win-win. What's fair between the parties to get an outcome? But I think they would think I was tough though.
That's okay. he's someone who can be very strong and forthright in his interactions. And then the other side of it is he's someone who's got a real ability to show a level of empathy to people and what's going on. 1 minute he can be tearing a CEO a new one about something. Maybe that's me, he's doing that too, or with. And the next thing he's ringing to ask how my mum is because, he knows she's of ill health or something like that. So, yeah, and anywhere in between.
The nicest person to deal with when we're selling the business to you guys, and the hardest person to deal with. So you met the nicest person, this is the hardest person in my life that I've ever dealt with.
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing about Gary is that he'd let you contemplate and make your own decisions, but he'd also tell you what he thought, and he'd certainly hold you to account. And there was never any question about when he thought that you weren't when you weren't pulling your weight or whatever, he'd let you know. So yeah.
Would that be the same for you?
It was the same with me. Yeah, absolutely.
So the whole time, the way you're dealing with it is less about numbers and it's more about the people and dealing with the people all the way around.
But caring, and people mightn't quite understand that, but I think if you delve into it, he's a very caring person.
Gary's very much a people person, a relationship person, so he's extremely strong on his care for anyone that he comes across is really care and passion to deliver the best to him.
And that's a glimpse of Gary West, an opportunity merchant who's relentlessly looking for ways to add value to his clients and partners. A tough negotiator who built businesses and buildings by building relationships. What we wondered was his biggest achievement.
Yep. So what's important to me? It's nothing to do with business. It's nothing to do with the practice. It's nothing to do with clients. What's important is my wife Sharon and the 3 kids. And all of these have just been tools of the journey. Still married, still got a great relationship with 3 kids, married a lovely lady. They're the things that are different. Now you're on your deathbed, someone comes along and says, have you had a great life? Well, I did your tax, or I did something for you in a property development. Doesn't matter in the end, you know. When you come back to it, that's all sort of secondary to what's mainly important. They were my goals. How would the Albury business community think of me?
Now, how would you like them to think of you? Just in case there's a disparity there.
How would I like them to think of me? That I had a go.